and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We're getting cozy. That's mainly just because I find sitting like this comfortable. Today I am talking about my iPad. I do have a sticker on it. As you saw in the beginning, it was just me unboxing it and a little time lapse of it. I have my Apple Pencil here. I took my case off of it because I learned that I write better without my Apple Pencil case, but yeah. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I use on my iPad. So first I'm going to talk about the apps that I mainly use, starting with note-taking apps. So most of the some of the note-taking apps, I have two mainly that I use. I used Notability. That's a newer one that I just got. I think it's really nice to write notes on. I like Notability better for notes that I'm planning on printing because I'll show you an example. Let's go into my calculus notes that I was just working on. So I have all my calculus notes, and if I want to print it, when I go to print, I can decide if I want page margins or not, and if I want the paper to be purple with grid lines, and it's super easy. And then when I just hit print, it shows me what it would look like. And then I will show with the paper but without page margins. So this is what it would look like that. So it would print the background when you do that. Goodnotes doesn't do that. You'd have to change the background and you'd have to move your text over to get page margins and stuff. Or not move your text over it. There's paper types that you would do to do that. So I just find Notability a lot easier for if I want to print my notes. I normally use Notability. Some of the features that are nice on it are I can select my favorite tools to use, so like my pencil, highlighter, eraser, other highlighter color that I use a lot, my other pencil color that I use a lot, a black highlighter and a gray highlighter for another thing that I normally use. So that's nice because that's always there and it's easier to do that. There is also a zoom feature, kind of like Goodnotes, so I can write closer up. But the nice part with this one is there are the tools right here as well to do that, and when you get over into the blue space, it'll automatically jump over for you, and you can adjust how tall you want it and everything else, and minimize that. So I do like Notability a lot. I've definitely been using it more. It's really nice for my calculus notes and notes that I'm planning on printing because I don't have to change my wallpaper or background of the paper and everything else. The other one I use a lot is Goodnotes 5. So here I have my to-do list that I write down and just highlight each thing by certain due dates. Let's go into my favorites. So what I like about Goodnotes 5 is it's a little bit more, you get to choose what you want to do with everything. So I like writing my notes that I'm not planning on printing on black paper with white ink because they're really nice to be able to study late at night and it's not as hurtful on your eyes. I started getting a little bit better at doing my notes really nice. The other nice thing about Goodnotes is you can create outlines. So where, let's say you switch to a different topic, you can have an outline. So let me show you one that does have outlines. So this, I have my outlines of where it switches chapters. So if I need to get to a chapter really fast, I can just click that and it'll get me to the page that that chapter starts. You can obviously add more pages. You can add more to the outline of where that chapter starts and where you want it to go till. But I like Goodnotes a lot. I definitely think I like Notability a little bit better, but that could also be because I had been using Goodnotes for a longer period of time and then added Notability to my device. So to change the paper, I'll show it on my October example. You just go up here and you hit change template, and this is where all of them are. If you want to print with margins, you use Goodnotes standard. If you want to print with no margin. So like some of my things that are notes on taking on things, but they don't go in my binder, they go in a folder. I will print without margin so I have more space to write everything. In the US, we use letter size. So that just changes the size width of the paper. They have a bunch of different ones. They have monthly planners, guitar scores, music paper, Cornell note taking. They have a ton of different versions, which is really nice. I didn't get to show the paper on Notability, so I'll go back to that, of the paper options. So with Notability, there's just colors over here, which I like and I don't like because there's not as wide of a selection. But also there's plain, with lines, wider lines, really wide lines, even wider lines, and then you have grid paper, doing the same thing, and then you have dotted paper doing the same thing as well. So that one I like a lot because it's easier to switch the templates of everything, and it's easier to print, but I like both of them equally, I would say. I definitely have been using Notability more, but yeah, there's not like one I am like 100% this is what I want. Next, I'm going to talk about my art app / thumbnail app that I use to make my thumbnails. It is called Procreate. This is how I created my college life thumbnail. It was a lot I have Photoshop on my MacBook, but Photoshop is pretty difficult to use when you're trying to delete an area and replace it with something. The nice part with Procreate was I literally just took my Apple Pencil and clicked the eraser button and literally just erased the parts that I didn't want there, and then I underlaid pictures of me and my friend. I can do a time-lapse video to show how I kind of did that. Or I can make it a separate video showing you how I create my thumbnails if you would like. I will create a separate video showing you how I create my thumbnails. So next I'm going to talk about apps that I use for school. So the first app I use for school is Blackboard. I might not be signed in. Okay, I am. This is just the app that my college uses for our classes and everything. So if I like go in, it has all of our stuff. So I have it on my iPad as well, just in case I want to check something real fast on here. One of the other apps that I use for school is Google Drive. Let me find it. Oh, it's in my bar. I use Google Drive for school mainly on my MacBook. I don't use it as much on here. When I use it on here, it mainly is just where my Notability notes are backed up to, so that they're on here and I won't lose anything. One of the next school apps that I use is Outlook. This is where we get our emails for college and everything, so I have Outlook on here so I can check my emails really fast and get notifications if I got any new important emails, like classes canceled or something like that. Another one is Webex Meet. This is where my online classes take place. So I have it on my iPad. I normally don't use Webex on my iPad because I'm taking notes on there. But let's say I needed to join the meeting really fast and, you know, I'm out because I was at a different class. I will take my iPad with me and just use that instead to join the class, and then I just take notes on my paper and then I'll transfer that to my iPad. I don't use Webex Meet on my iPad a lot unless, you know, we're not going over anything super crazy in class, and I should just do it on there. And the last app that I use for school is called Read Anywhere. Two of my textbooks are on here, and of course it's not going to be logged in. That was interesting. Okay. So this is where my textbooks are for my biology and my chemistry class. So I have it on here to be able to look at my textbooks whenever I need, but also I can pull up Notability on the second half of my screen to be able to take notes on my textbook as well, rather than having it on my laptop and then having to transfer it, looking up and down consistently, whereas it'd just be next to it. And lastly, I'm going to talk about my entertainment apps. So I have a few. I definitely don't use them as much on here. Starting with YouTube, I just have YouTube up. I normally don't watch YouTube on here because when I watch it on my iPad, I get ads, and if I watch it on my laptop, I don't get ads. But I just have it on here just in case I want to relax in my bed and not have to carry my laptop. I will just use my iPad. I also have Twitch. I watch my friend Sam, his streams. Same thing, if I want to watch some of my shows and stuff, I can just open it on my iPad instead. Don't like that, that's creepy. I also have Netflix. Everyone kind of understands that. I do have this coloring app for relaxation and things. Of course it turns. And then I have cross stitch app, which just kind of looks like you're cross stitching. And then I have this app called Adorable Home, and it's just a little like relaxation app where you kind of like create a house. And then I have Among Us, and then I have a Harry Potter puzzle game. But yeah, so those are mainly the apps that I use on my iPad. Let me close it and go back to what I was doing. Yeah, so those are mainly the apps that I use on my iPad. I definitely love it. I enjoy taking notes on here a lot more. It's a little bit more relaxing, I would say, and I think, so now I'm going to talk about the Apple Pencil just a little bit. I'm not going to go into full detail, but I definitely like the Apple Pencil. I'm a person who only writes with pen though. I watched a lot of review things on the iPad and the Apple Pencil before deciding that this was a good financial decision. And one of the things I saw most was that people didn't like how it felt to write or do anything. I love it, but I always write with pen, and it feels like a pen to me. So I don't really mind it. I did have a cover for it. It was a cute little pineapple cover thing. And then I learned that I write neater without it, so I took that off. But I also have these, which you saw. They are Nib Covers, if it would focus. It's just to protect the tip, and you can actually still write with it on. I normally only put it on when I'm carrying my iPad around with my pen next to it. I also put my case on when I go to class so that if my pen falls, it won't break. If I'm just doing it in my dorm room, I don't do that because I'm not gonna carry it around everywhere. But if I'm taking it out to my calculus class, I do put my nib cover on, and I put the pencil cover on. But yeah, so that is my iPad. I hope you enjoy. Check out my links down below and my promo codes, and I'll see you in my next video.